Hi, this is going to be exercise 2 of lab 8. So what I'm going to do again, as we did in the first exercise, I'm going to create a new drawing view. Again, I'm going to make sure that I have the display sheet format turned off. I'll say OK. And in this case, I'll close down the model view option over here. And you'll notice that I have the page color not white now. So I'm going to go back and make sure that I want to set that color to white. So I'll select on Options, System Options, Colors, scroll down till I get to Drawings, Paper Color, click under Edit, set the color to white, and we'll say OK. So now I'm going to go under the Drawing tab, go to the Standard 3 view, click into Browse to where I have the -28 part located, and I'll say Open. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to delete this view. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to move these two views up. And I'm going to set the scale of the drawing. So instead of using the sheet scale, I'm going to use custom scale. And I'm just going to type in 1:3 and hit Enter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here under the section view option. I'm going to make sure that I am in the horizontal mode here. This would be vertical. Here's horizontal. I'm going to make sure I snap to the center point. Click the green check mark, drag down, and that's going to create the section view that I'm going to want. I'm going to click into here. Let me just close down that. I'm going to double click under the text under the section view, so I can edit it, and I'm just going to remove the scale 1:3 because I don't want to have a scale necessarily on this drawing. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to select here. Under the section view, I'm going to go scale hatch pattern. So it's going to make that a 1:3 scale. And I want to put in an isometric view, so I'll select here. I'll go to my projected view. I'm going to pull up into the upper right hand corner, and once that's there, I'll just move it over here. And I want to change the scale of this one to be 1:6. So instead of using the parent scale, I'll use a custom scale and set that to be 1:6. I'm also going to, under display style, instead of using the parent style, I'm going to utilize shaded. So now I have a nice shaded representation of my part that I'll move over here. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to click on this right hand view. And I'm going to go to tangent edge. So you see these tangent edges that are there due to the fillet. I just want to change them to look a little bit different. So I'm going to go tangent edges with font. So that's going to make them sort of a dotted line. So all the tangent edges in this view will be what they call phantom lines. And then one more right click, and I'm going to hide the ends of the tangent edges. It's just sort of a graphic way of telling people that these are not, edges that you really could dimension to if you were an actual machinist making these parts. Okay, we want to create a dimension layer, so let's do that. So up here again, I'll hit search under layer properties. I'm going to make a new dimension, a new layer rather, calling it dimension again, and set the color to being blue, and I'll say OK. And when I do this, that actually puts me in the dimension layer. So everything I put on now will be on that layer, acting as to be blue. I also want to set the units. So go back to my options here, under document properties, under units, I'm going to make us millimeter gram second. And under my dimensions, I'm going to set the primary precision to none. Now, I also want to set my dimension text font height. So again, I'll go back into here under document properties, under dimensions, And under the font, I'm going to select the font height. Instead of being 3.175 millimeters, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, 2.5. And over here, I have the option of scaling all the arrows that are going to be on those dimensions with the dimension height. So I'll do that. And we'll say OK. So this is all pre-work to make sure that my arrows and everything are in the right size. And I know this because I've already created this drawing. So what we'll do now is we'll go into the sample that's on the last page of the document for this lab, and we'll go ahead and we'll start putting in the dimensions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one up a little bit. I'm going to move this over a little bit, and let's start putting some dimensions in. So I'm going to click under the annotation tab, go under my smart dimension tool, select here and here, 5 millimeters. And this one will go between these. Now notice what happens here. You see where the dot is? There's no leader line here because I selected the inner line here. I'm going to do Control Z to get out of that. And I'm actually going to select these lines here. And you'll see that there's actually we can still kind of drag them over a little bit. Same thing with this one. All right, and we'll come up here to this view and we'll start going this one. Oh, I have to get into my smart dimension tool. So we're going to make this one 2x. So I'll go over here under the dimension text, go 2x space. And from the center of the circle to here will be 50. The total height will be 215. We come in here to these circles, so these two outer circles, 125 and 112. And since there's one on each side of this part, I'll make sure that we have a 2x on each of those. Let me put them back down where they were. And we'll do a radius here. And then the inner hole diameter is 100. Couple more dimensions. Here to here is 75. Here to here gives me 40. And here to here is 100. 130. And 20. Now I can either leave the 20 there or I can pull it to the inside. Either way, it's a bit of a preference as to where you'd want those dimensions to be. And we have a 15 here. Nope, I am out of the dimension tool. Go back into it again. And then we have a dimension here that is listed as 43, but on the drawing it's 42.5. So what I'm going to do here is go over to that dimension under tolerance and precision, under this option here. I'm going to set the decimals to 2 places. So that gives me back to my 42.5. So I can individually control the precision of individual dimensions. So I'll move this over just a little bit. And we're going to go from the center of the circle to the bottom. Again, that's 108. I want to override that dimension to be 107.50. And this dimension here, gotta get back into my smart dimension tool. I want to make that 2x, so I'll come down here to the dimension text, put it in as 2x. Same thing here. Now this dimension that I'm putting in, it's already called out at another location on the drawing over here. So I want to put this in as a reference dimension. So I'm going to come over here under the dimension text and choose the option to add parentheses to that one dimension. And we'll finish up with two other diameters here. So this is diameter 65, and this one will come in as a radius. And then the last thing we need to do is there's a note that's called out here. Well, first I want to just move my my drawings around a little bit. So let me just pull this over a little bit, give it a little bit of room. I can actually adjust these dimensions a little bit if I want to, bring them a little bit closer, put some definition between them. And the last thing is there's a note. So I come up here under the annotation toolbar, click under note. I'll drop the note here and put in my information. Put my cap locks on actually. And I'll just click somewhere to say it's done. And you'll note that I could drop it one more time and actually has an arrow that would come to it. And I can just hit escape to get out of that. And same thing as before now, we will go to save as. Save it as a .png, go under our options. If you're doing this in one session, this should already be set to be print capture 600. We'll click OK. Click save, and I had already hit created one, so this will be a new creation. All right, and that is how you do all of the dimensions required for or make the drawing for exercise 2 of Lab 8.